Hello YouTube, you got Video Game House once again with another new deck. This one we worked on with chat during stream, and I realize you guys cannot see the Dark Energy count. I will just have to say that one. But this is just the list that we used on stream for the new Roaring Moon EX list. Now, with Shrouded Fable's drop, it added this wonderful new trainer supporter that is just really nice due to the factor that you choose 2 of your dark Pokemon, search your deck for 2 dark energies, and place 1 dark energy on both of them. The downside is if you add an energy to the active Pokemon, the active one gets poisoned, but it doesn't say you have to target the active and one of the bench. You can target both of the bench with it, so nothing gets poisoned. Wonderful thing about the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule tool that this deck also runs is that the Pokemon that is attached to cannot be affected by a special condition, and if it is already affected by a special condition, it heals from that special condition. So if you use Janine's Secret Art on a active dark Pokemon to give it an energy, and then you have it already equipped with the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, all it will do is equip a dark energy to it, and it will not give it poison. Obviously, those of you who know, Roaring Moon only needs 2 energy for its wonderful first attack, the Vengeance Fletching, which allows you to do 70 damage plus 10 for each ancient Pokemon, tool, or card in your discard pile. Deck runs quite a few. I believe it can get over 200 damage at its maximum, I think somewhere around 250-ish. And a single prize list like Roaring Moon, using Ancient Box's Vengeance Fletching to just attack over and over and over again, really grates on your opponent's nerves. If you can get all 4 of your Roaring Moons just to attack 1 time, minimum damage you're probably going to hit for on, say, turn 1 might be 100 damage. But the deck also is able to filter very, very quickly. We also have things like the Dark Patches, so we can set up benched Pokemon. We have Pecharunt, whose ability is that you're able to take a benched Dark Pokemon and bring it to the active and poison it. Once again, I remind you, Ancient Booster Energy Capsule on your Dark Pokemon, make it so way it doesn't get poisoned. So it's just a free switch. That card alone wins you the matchup against Snorlax, which a lot of people absolutely hate. We also run Flutter Mane, which a lot of people kind of have forgotten about. But Flutter Mane just states that any active Pokemon that your opponent is using, active basic I think specifically, its ability doesn't work. So if you start the game and you run 4 Flutter Manes, there's a pretty good chance you can open your hand with one of them. And if you start it and you don't know what your opponent's using, and they happen to be Lost Box, they happen to be Chen Pao, they happen to be so many different lists, Flutter Mane will work. I can't wait to show you how well this deck did. When we were streaming this deck, we were changing it during the stream. I'm still sure there's edits that I can make to make this even better. So if you guys do have wonderful edits, let me know, join my Discord, and just reach out to me. I would love to see how this thing does once it gets a better look with a bunch of other players taking a look at it. Obviously, with the top tier meta decks right now, one of them being Regidrago. Regidrago has this wonderful attack that is using a discarded Pokemon. Noivern EX has Covert Flight, which says all basic. It doesn't take any damage from basic Pokemon, which the entire deck runs basics. But it says damage, not the effect of attacks. That's why we run the Roaring Moon EX. Most cases, you never want to bring the Roaring Moon EX on the board outside of a instant KO on certain Pokemon. Say Charizard at 330 HP and you really need to remove it. If you save your utility items, such as Dark Patches, Janine's Secret Art, Sada's Vitality, you are able to set up 3 energies on Roaring Moon, bring it into the active using, say, Pecharunt, or even just manually retreating a 1 energy Flutter Mane. You're able to bring that guy to the active and get a free knockout all in one quick move. So, let me know if you guys like the deck. Let's get into the video. For right now, you guys will see these characters running around on the bottom of the screen. These are matches I did live on stream in actual ladder play with the deck. So, I hope you guys do enjoy it. We're going to go do some play-by-play and let you guys know how I played the deck, what I was thinking, and hopefully you enjoy it. This was the funniest thing. I just did a video. If you guys saw my last video on the Donk deck, this is what I'm up against in round 1. So it took me about halfway through my turn to realize, wait a minute. I have 1 card on the board and it shuts the entire deck down. I know exactly what's in my opponent's deck. They don't run bosses, they don't run switch cards, so Flutter Mane in the active just wins the game, doesn't it? because Flutter main says any of your opponent's active Pokemon basic Pokemon abilities are turned off. Pecharunt can't add 5 damage. Iron Valiant cannot place damage counters. So you're only going to max out the Stadium, the Radiant Sneasler, and the regular Poison. So it's maxing 50 damage per turn. But wait a minute. Ancient Booster Energy takes away Poison, and he can no longer be poisoned. So now I stop you from using your abilities, and I can't be poisoned. So you can't do anything. And I remember when I was shooting this, I was like, does that just work? When I was recording, I was like, no way, that's all I have to do to win this matchup. Is just put Flutter Mane in the action and catch one tool, and the game ends. And it just was. So it was hilarious. I was losing my mind when it happened. Alright, so let's see what we do in our second game. Unfortunately, we started Greninja. I believe when this happened, I was like, that's a doomer moment. That's like one of the few Pokemon you don't want to start. And then I saw Nakalai. And I immediately got confused. And I was like, this is a ladder game, right? It is. So then why am I running into Nakalai? My opponent throws out some Gibbles and hits a Great Ball. So I realize what he's doing now. And that does, you know, concern me. This is Janine's secret art. You know, I am able to turn 1, my opponent goes first. I am able to get an energy on both of those Pokemon on my turn 1. If I was lucky enough and I didn't start Greninja, I could have also attached an energy to my active Roaring Moon. I could have attached an energy like to either Roaring Moon or Roaring Moon EX, and that would have just been good for me. We are trying to set up our bench a little more, and we are also getting really destroyed by Explorer's Guidance. Every card in my hand, every card there would have been great. I don't want to lose Vitality. Vitality is just a winning card for me. So we're just going to have to eat a turn by losing out. My opponent, unfortunately, just gets nowhere, which is awesome for us. And we just throw out another Explorer's Guidance because all we need to do is find energies. And we know we have a Greninja on the board, which we want to switch out of the active. And we also have Earthen Vessel. This match was before we had Pecharunt EX in the list. So these matches, the deck will be changing a bit. So you might see some cards in here that you don't see later on. And that's mainly just due to the factor of we were doing playtesting. But we were playtesting ladder matches. So we can figure out a solid deck list to bring into tournaments, which we're going to be doing this upcoming Thursday and Sunday at the Blue Ditto and the Redacted tournaments, if you guys are available, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So for my opponent, using Irida, obviously getting that Water-type Garchomp and the Rare Candy to set it all up. Able to swing, but only able to swing for 160, which without my tool would be detrimental, but we're doing very solid here. We also can just set up, like I said before, we were able to use Sada's Vitality to get 2 from the discard pile set up. We were able to use the Dark Patch to set up the EX on the bench. And now all we're doing is just setting up for future turns. We tried using Awakening Drum at first. I thought it was a wonderful idea, but also I realized like I shouldn't be having that many Pokemon on the bench at the same time. So we cut it for different secrets, or different A-specs, until we found one we kind of liked. So with this whole board, we were able to get everything all set up. And you know what? We just didn't like that Garchomp there. It was looking at us funny. We manually retreat out and have a backup Roaring Moon already set up. We were able to finish setting up the Roaring Moon on the bench and the Roaring Moon EX on the bench in one move, just due to a couple of cards. And it's just so nice, because now, even if they can take this thing out, cool, you take this out. I then switch in a Roaring Moon that's already set up, and because you took it out, it does so much more damage. 0-6 Machinations annoys the crap out of me. I understand it's a supporter, but it's a win more supporter. It's like, if I'm winning the game already, that's when I would want to throw 0-6 Machinations, because obviously that harms my opponent. Funny part is, if you use 0-6 against me, because I'm an Ancient Box deck, and I have 27 cards in my hand, all you're doing is making me stronger. I'm just looking, and I'm just deciding, let me just see what else I can do with this list. Oh, cool. So, 1 Vitality got me 2 more Pokemon with 1 energy each. A Dark Patch set 1 up, and then I had Dark Energy in my hand. So I set up 2 more Roaring Moons on the bench with 1 supporter and an energy and an item. And I was able to get all of them consistently and with ease. I believe we run Unfair Stamp now, because obviously it's another one of those win more cards where if I need to and you take out one of my Roaring Moons, which again, it is a single prize deck. Single prize decks do really, really well with Unfair Stamp. So if you take out one of my, baby Roaring Moons, it's like, cool, Unfair Stamp, reset hand, Janine's Secret Art, or Professor Sada's Vitality, sets up more energies, finds more Dark Patches, draws me more cards. It's just things I can do. I believe I thought that this was Teal Mask Ogerpon Roaring, a Raging Bolt, and I was so wrong. I'm just like thinking maybe I can use Earthen Vessel to try and get energies, use Ultra Ball to try and search for a Radiant Greninja. My opponent just doing things and I saw Grass Energy and was like, wait a minute. There are Grass Energies in Raging Bolt, but why would you attach? So my brain just starts trying to put the pieces together and go, is it Regidrago? And I was terrified because like Regidrago is not a good matchup, but we have the answer for it. That little dance is because somebody followed me on the stream. It does a little dance with the characters, and that's why I freeze moving for a moment. We do get a lot of good stuff in our hand. We have Super Rod to get our energies back in the deck. By the way, we do run 2 Super Rods. One of them is kind of meant for getting the Roaring Moons, the baby moons, back into the deck if they've gotten knocked out. But the other one is mainly in there because I want to be able to use it for energies if I need to, because I can use it on an energy and then use Janine's Secret Art to put 2 energies back in the deck, and the Janine's Secret Art takes those energies out of the deck and places them on my Pokemon. So that's why we ventured for 2 Super Rods. My opponent actually just used Burst Roar there with Regidrago, and I'm just confused. But now you see this whole board state. It's in a great state for me. You can see I'm trying to use Explorer's Guidance to try and get a few things for future turns. Set up my bench a little bit more so I can use my Awakening Drum. This will draw me 4 new cards, which is great. My hand is huge again. We have 2 Dark Patches. We can actually set up another Baby Moon on the bench. But we know we're going to be hitting for a knockout on that Roaring and that Bolt right now, so we just decided to go with it. Also, the animation might be broken. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that big, but when you use Vengeance Fletching, the whole screen just explodes with the animation. So we are afraid of the Covert Flight. I think I checked the discard pile quite a few times that I had to cut out of the video. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But I'm just looking to see if he gets the Covert Flight, because so long as he doesn't one-shot the Bolt EX in the bench, we're kind of okay. But we also don't show our opponent anything. We still have the Roaring Moon in our hand. We have 2 Dark Patches in hand, so if he does take out the Moon EX, we are able to completely set up another one right away out of nowhere. So we see all of his energies. We see he wants to try and see if he can get rid of the Moon, which he does have Raging Bolt, so he can discard 4 energies and take it out. But he obviously has to get there. You see he has 4 energies. He's putting up the grass. Wait a minute, Ogerpon is a grass type, and Moon is actually weak to grass types. Fuck. Because that ends up destroying him. Now what do? I guess we're just gonna start in building again. I believe I checked to see how many energies I have left before I start doing things. Like there's 3 there, 2 in my hand. I think I'm running 11 right now. I don't know, it's like 9, 10, 11, something like that. So I can use Janine's Secret Art. I retreat, I bring it up. I use Janine, I just pop. It was a bad ordering, I understand, but it's okay. It didn't change too much. Again, I'm still learning the list, so what I obviously should have done first was play Janine's, poison the active, and then switch it out manually. I don't know if I had enough energy in the discard before I did that in order to make it work. I don't remember what I did exactly incorrectly there, but obviously we see Calamity Storm, we discard the Stadium, we hit that 220 for a knockout. Poison is not great, but it's okay, because I thought I was going to have to use the other move to take 200 damage, and I was like, oh, Poison is just going to kill me, this isn't going to be good. And then I remembered, wait, it's got 210 HP, we're fine. I figured it was going to be okay because he just didn't have anything. And that's where I made a mistake also, where I could have utilized all my other tools to set up other moons on the bench, and then didn't, and then got punished with an Iono. My opponent had no out, and everything he had was 2 prizes, so he knows I could have just used Frenzied Gouging and taken out anything for those 2 prizes. Alright, Willon Lucky is our next opponent here. As you can see, the deck worked. And by the way, these are all, I think these are relatively like back-to-back games. This deck, I went 7-0 before I ended stream that night, and it was great. And this is one of the matches that I did speak about a little bit ago, about how stupid this is. Iron Thorns turns off all basic Pokemon with Rule Box's abilities. But, unfortunately, a special Pokemon on my side of the board doesn't have a Rule Box. His name is Fluttermane, which turns off basic Pokemon's abilities on my opponent's side, so Iron Thorn's ability is turned off, the one reason you're running the deck. And then, I was able to use Greninja, which normally I wouldn't be able to do. I set up Janine's Secret Art knowing full well it does not matter, because if he punches my Iron Thorns, if he punches with Iron Thorns next turn, congratulations, you knock out Fluttermane. I then send in Roaring Moon EX, and I win the game by instantly annihilating you. So, it doesn't matter. And I think my opponent immediately understands that situation, and goes, uh-oh, what do I do? Fluttermane is so good in the weirdest ways. You don't expect it to be nearly as good as it is until it happens. My opponent did get lucky with Crushing Hammer here, and I was like, well, that's just not nice. But I also have a discarded Dark Energy, 2 of them, let's say. So there is things we can do with this. Mainly just 1 discard into double energies. Now we can use Greninja to draw 2. I think I left 2 in the deck because I wanted to use Janine's Secret Art and realized I can't this turn, so it didn't matter. Cool, we got the Vitality that gives us our retreat, and then we get a main attach. We retreat, we push it back forward, we blast them. Frenzied Gouging, 1 shot, game over. And that was it. That was it. It was so satisfying. It was so satisfying. Because I turned off the only thing that deck actually does. Like, it literally runs 4 Iron Thorns. Sometimes there's a version that ran 2, I saw. But it only ran such a few amount, and I just turned off the one thing that it did. And that was it. We open up again into another Fluttermane match where the active Pokemon's ability is turned off. So it is turning off Monkey Dory. It didn't matter. We wanted to set up as quickly as possible. The Artazon, probably not the smartest move. We put down the energy on the Fluttermane so we can retreat with it. Or if they knock it out, obviously it gets the energy in the discard pile for our Vitality that we have to draw us 3 new cards. My opponent takes its goddamn time with this Artazon. And shows me Klefki, which says all basic Pokemon, as long as in the active, both players have no ability, including my Fluttermane. So, if he puts it in the active, does my Fluttermane block his ability, or does his Klefki block all abilities? I don't actually know. And I don't think I even get to find out this game because he doesn't even switch it. He gets the evolution, which is cool, and it doesn't really matter anymore. I get the manual retreat out because we're trying to get some things to go off. We get the 1 energy attach. We get the Earthen Vessel and the Radiant Greninja so we can discard some more ancient cards, and that way we can get more energies to set everything up for future turns. We're not really getting a lot in terms of like discard options, so we're just trying to go through our deck to try and get everything out of it in order to move. Fletching is also great because I thought I was only doing 100 damage, when in actuality he's weak to dark, and it actually does double damage, taking a knockout. I didn't look right there, but I think me of the past knew full well how many energies I had in my deck, so Janine's Secret Art is pretty f***ing good for me. I assume. I don't remember. I've put Klefki to the active, which blocks the abilities, the basic abilities of Pokemon, so obviously Fluttermane is blocked and Radiant Greninja is blocked. I don't think I even had the ability to use the Radiant Greninja on the next turn, so that didn't do anything. It just kind of made it so that way I knocked that out rather than knocking out, like, another, like, one of his Curlias. Which I think he was just digging for Gardevoir. So he actually jousted me. And I was sort of like, does that matter? Did he just joust me? Does that 10 damage matter at any point? I don't think it does. So this just helps me set up for future turns. So this is when I learned, don't put energy on, or don't set up the Roaring Moon EX unless you absolutely have to. Gardevoir is weak to Vengeance Fletching, and you only need 16 damage, which means you have 9 ancient cards in the discard pile, and you're able to take free knockouts. So, why did I put Frenzied Gouging, you know, Roaring Moon EX on the bench? I don't know. It becomes a 2-prize penalty that I'm going to take. my opponent can just boss it up, take it out very easily. So instead of doing that, learn from my mistakes and don't do that. I was going to do that on him too. That unfair stamp. I was excited to use my own unfair stamp. It didn't work. I think that his idea was to shoot one of my moons on the bench. So like his whole idea was there. I have this nifty Gardevoir here, and all I gotta do is find my one of boss's orders. I have no idea where it is. If I find it, which I had it in my hand, I'm able to then boss that up and take it out with a regular Roaring Moon. And I was so sad. Alright, but we are going to just start setting up some more cards. We have all this energy. We discard another energy. We draw 2 more cards. We find some more stuff. We manually attach. We retreat. We bring up the 2 damager. And now we're able to start doing some things. We want to use Artazon. Get another benched Roaring Moon so we can shuffle our deck. Vitality gives me 2 more energies. Now I have everybody set up with enough energy to attack on the next turn with just 1 energy. We get our Roaring Moon, our energies back in the deck for our setting up for our Jasmine's secret art. And then we just kind of punch this guy in the face with the biggest explosion you've ever seen. The blinding explosion. And we take another prize. We're ahead too, and that is how we're kind of winning the prize trade. Is just like, if we get ahead, this matters a lot. The unfortunate part is, obviously, you can see my darned Roaring Moon just kind of sitting there, and it shouldn't be there. It should be in the discard pile. Once I opened it. I don't remember what I did with it. But, I realized, you know, just the more you play the deck, the more you realize, like, what you need to do with it. And I definitely realized, like, I could put Roaring Moon on the bench, but I also don't need it unless it needs to get a knockout. Because if I put it on the bench, it immediately becomes a target for 2 prizes. Which, you know, my opponent thought he was able to take it out, and then he didn't, so I think I know that I have a certain amount of... Yeah. And I put 1 back because I was like, Janine's secret art? And then I was like, I'm gonna use Vitality. I don't care. So we just do the Vitality play. Cool! We got another guy set up. Woo! We hold the gear. We're trying to get, like, different outcomes here. Just get up the Nest Ball so we can get another gouging, but I wanted to not get hit by Iono because I know the deck my opponent's deck runs like 3 or 4 of them at this point. So we Calamity Storm and we get rid of the Artazon because we don't want to see him getting any basics, and we're doing pretty solid. I find Pecharunt and I'm like, wait, there goes my switch card. Darn. I think this might have been like one of the first games we were playing like Pecharunt, so I didn't even realize it was missing. My opponent playing Super Rod to try and get some of his Pokemon back. He searches out. He goes for his Ralts. He's trying to set up more pieces so that way he will be able to pick and choose what he wants to choose. I think it just used Hisuian Heavy Ball and it didn't show me the card again, so I didn't even notice it. I must have missed it. So I do have 200 HP. So the Monkey Dory that he has on the bench, super good because it's able to remove Roaring Moon by just moving the damage off of the Guardy over to Roaring Moon and then just one-shotting it. He put 3 energy on it and I was like, oh sweet, he's gonna actually attack with this. This is great because I just shoot him back and the game ends. Boink. Oh no, I now have less than HP, so now I'm going to die. Also, I think I couldn't find a singular tool to save my life this game. So I was like teed off and I was like, oh no! So I was hit by that, I don't know what he was doing here because honestly, if you look at the bench, he has Drifloon. He could have put 2 energies on Guardy, retreated, brought up the Drifloon, put the damage out there, and still taken out my Roaring Moon. And he would have been at 3 prizes. Obviously, I would make a comeback and knock out his Drifloon, but then, like, I have another Roaring Moon set up, so I guess I could have just taken out the next thing as well. But, like, I mean, there was better plays he could have made. He just didn't. But at the same time, you know, we were kind of set up because the deck is able to set up multiple Roaring Moons. And Guardy is no longer a threat to that deck. Or this deck, specifically. Good start, me. 1 card. just 1 Roaring Moon. Good. I'm looking at my hand like, also good. Another matchup where we can see Regidrago. Regidrago do be good. We see this little baby Drago boy, and we know we can remove it with Roaring Moon. If it doesn't evolve, Roaring Moon can use Calamity Storm and remove a Stadium and do 220 damage to take it out. If it does evolve and it tries using Covert Flight, we just go, that's neat. Roaring Moon EX, triple setup, and then blast it. Sure, we take 200 damage, but we also remove probably his only useful play. We're throwing energies here, left, right, and center, so we can try and get everything out there. We're looking at our bench space. We're like, what can we do with this? Just set up another moon, I guess. And that way we can use Vitality. We don't have to. We're just trying to get the energies out. We have everything kind of like there now, which is cool. And then we just kind of, I guess, push damage, question mark? Like, I was like, this is a very weak turn. Realistically, this is a very weak turn. If he sets up, like, what am I supposed to do? I think that what my head was telling me was, like, just thin the deck, and what I should have done was use a Dark Patch here to set up the Roaring Moon on the bench, because I obviously couldn't use, like, a Dark Patch again later, so it doesn't make much of a difference, because 1 energy plus 2 energies that he knows is in my hand is fine. He gets the full setup, but I don't think he has any Pokemon in the bench or in the discard pile to actually attack with, so we're kind of okay. And then he hits Dragon Bolt, and I'm like, oh! I know the percent chance is very high when you discard 7, but come on, man! Also, with this board, he wouldn't take the Prime Catcher, but, like, I probably would take the Prime Catcher here. Opponent is choosing an action. It does 6 and 200, and then I died, and now I have 210 damage to deal with, and if I can't deal with that 210 damage, I lose. Explorer's Guidance with 2 patches in my hand? Oh, could it be? The free switch and the Roaring Moon? Holy cow, we throw the free switch, we throw the Roaring Moon, we set up with 1 Dark Patch, we toss another Dark Patch, we manually attach, we activate the ability, we bring up the Roaring Moon EX, we throw Artazon because in case he wants to continue playing after this, we just get set, and we hit him. Wait, he used Dragon Ball, didn't he? I don't even need to use my Frenzied Gouging. Calamity Storm! Still takes him, his only option out. He's got no backup Regidrago. He's got 1 grass energy on the board. Is it possible? Yes. He absolutely can use Ogerpon with 2 grass energies in order to actually actively attack, because he can just use the ability, draw 1, actively place another, and he can just bop Roaring Moon. But even if he did that, it's too late. I know how much damage I'm doing, and I know how much damage I can do with these Roaring Moons, and I have the Pecharunt as well, which, by the way, if you need to, Pecharunt goes on the bench. But if you don't need to, you don't want to put Pecharunt on the bench, because obviously, again, it is just a 2-prize liability. It does give you free switching. Congratulations. Your opponent will take it up like a Squawkabilly and shoot it in the face just for the 2-prize trade. So, most case scenario, you do not want to put that thing on the bench. My opponent is just getting energies. This is the worst feeling, too, because he uses Superior Energy Retrieval to retrieve energies, but I think he used a Super Rod at the beginning of the turn to put a Fire Energy, 2 Grass Energies back into his deck. So he would have had it, and then he botched himself for it. And then that is the game, because obviously I can just bonk it again, and the game will end. Let me bring the deck up for you guys one more time so you guys can take a quick look. There is 9 basic Dark Energies. This is the deck that we kind of ended on. Like I said, it can still be made better. I'm sure of that. It seems super consistent when we were playing it, but I absolutely believe that there is just room for improvement. I don't think that we used a spec the entire time. Outside of Awakening Drum, which is kind of something I can play whenever I want to just, like, draw 2 or 3 cards, maybe? But, like, again, like I said, it can use a little bit of tweaking, yes. But I think that Roaring Moon can be really, really strong in this format. So, if you guys think so too, make sure you thumbs up the video, like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. But most importantly, join that Discord so you guys can see when we go live on Twitch. We play in a lot of Pokemon Swords, we do a lot of giveaways, and I will be seeing you guys there. Good night, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next one.